hello, You Rise tribe. This is Veronica Rosenfeld, CEO of You Rise Movement. And when you clearly know who you are and what is very next for you, you rise to your greatness and step to your destiny. Today, I want to talk about, we're going to talk about joy and clarity. So first, I want to say why clarity. Because, you know, without clarity, you can't do anything. You know, you're sitting somewhere, you know street number, city, and a zip code. And without that, you can get there. But when it comes to your life and business, very often we're not sure what it looks like. So that's why I'm so big on clarity. And Mastermind is a shortcut to get to your success, because when you learn from people who already have been there, there is nothing faster to get you to the next level. With that being said, I want to introduce our amazing guest, Erin Aguilera, she created a program that allows you to reconnect with your inner joy. And it's going to be a corporate training, and it's going to be training for many different people. Erin is one of the kindest and joyful people that I've met. We met almost on an accident, you would say. We got to about the same time in a spiritual church, and it was just come from there, and we come to discussion group, and it's just, she saw my light and I saw her light, and we've been a blessing in each other's lives since then. So I'm giving floor to Erin Aguilera.
Well, hi there. I'm happy to be here. I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to it all week. I want to start by talking about how when Veronica and I met, I already knew myself that I could do anything. I already had this knowledge that I can do anything, and I have the talent to do whatever I want. So the question is, what do I want? Because it wasn't a matter of, well, what am I good at? I could just do whatever I'm good at, because I'm good at a lot of things. So I asked her to help me figure out, what do I actually want to do? What can I actually get excited to do? And so I've been working with her for a few months now, and she has just seen me, you know, she pointed me to my path, and then I just sprinted, and she's just laughing all the way, because that's what I do. I just go for it. And so I'm super thankful for Veronica for showing me that what I get excited about is joy, and that I get excited with the idea that people could actually find that joy and it would change their life. And then they would go out to the world with their joy. It'd be contagious. Everyone else around them, they start getting inspired to be joyful as well. And it's just magical. And I feel like this website that I launched, I call it, I'm going to promote it here, joyquando.com. It is a free online experience. I don't want to call it an online course, because it's not me just talking at you, telling you how to feel happy. It's actually 30 days of exercises that you'll actually do for yourself, so you can find the joy in yourself. So I'm not going to come at you with a bunch of, you know, motivational quotes and feel good ideas, and you'll just feel good for a minute and then forget about it. These are actual exercises that you can do anytime to get yourself into that place of joy, because when you're in that place, you can't be defeated. And so over the last 10 years, I've kind of perfected this martial art. I call it Joy Kwando because it is a martial art. And the three truths that I have found are to be: 1, everything is fine. Everything's fine. 2, nice people get stuff. And 3, nice people can't be defeated. And so that is kind of the foundation of this 30-day journey, that if you go to joyquando.com, that is the journey you're going to go on. You're going to find your joy, first of all, and then you're going to learn how to maintain it, and then you're going to know how to use it as a superpower to get where you want to go. So with that, I want to start by saying, you know, when I say nice people get stuff, it's easy to think of that phrase, nice guys finish last. And I just want to point out that there's different kinds of nice. The nice guys who finish last are the ones who kind of step out of the way because they're just trying to be polite, and they let opportunities fly by them, you know, just out of politeness, and they think that's just the right thing to do. But the kind of nice that Joy Kwando is teaching is like the confidence and the fearlessness kind of nice. The kind of nice that walks, you know, lights up a room when you walk in. And when you walk in the room, when you're walking in that energy, people just feel at peace, and they're just happy to see you. And it just kind of brings this light to the room. My perfect example of this energy is Bill Murray. I think Bill Murray is just the textbook example of Joy Kwon-do. You know, he just shows up to, you know, frat parties, weddings, you know, golf tournaments, and people are just thrilled to see him. And it's not because he did one thing, it's because of who he is and his presence. And that is the presence that I've decided that I want to teach. I want to start with a story. I have a 10-year-old daughter. Her name is Paulina. So when she was about 5, we went to the bank. And the bank is the most horribly boring place on earth, as we all know. So the line started getting kind of long, and I started to worry that she was going to start complaining about how boring and awful this place was. But she never did. She started just playing with the little velvet ropes and was just excited to you know, for it to finally be our turn. And when it came to be our turn, you know, most people would say, oh, finally, it's about time. I feel like I've been here all day. But my daughter was so excited to see an adult interaction. You know, we'd be talking about transactions and we'd be signing papers and I'd be pushing buttons. And it was just like this experience she wanted to be a part of, and she was thrilled. And so she watched all this happen. I don't even remember what I was doing, opening a new account or something. And at the end of the whole interaction, the teller, of course, gave her a lollipop, because that's what the bankers do, right? The kids get a lollipop. Well, my daughter didn't even notice that there was a cup of lollipops right there, because she was just so consumed in the wonder of this moment. And so as we were leaving, she, of course, asked why she got a lollipop, because in her mind, she hadn't done anything special. She was just there. And I was explaining to her that most kids her age aren't that pleasant at the bank. They're crying, they're whining, and they're just, you know, bored and they want to go home. But my daughter nobody had told her the bank was boring. And can you imagine that, you know, if we walked into places like the DMV or you know, just places where we just dread going, if we did not know that that place was supposed to be awful, how differently we would look at it? And when you walk into these places with just kind of a fresh, you know, sense of wonder, and you find the good in it, and you just decide you're going to be happy in that place, it not only makes you feel good, but it makes the people around you feel good. And then you get lollipops, right? Or whatever that you end up getting. You end up getting rewarded for your good attitude. And so unfortunately, joy isn't a high priority in our lives, in our environment. Typically, joy is kind of seen as just a result when things are good. But when you kind of lose touch with your joy, you have a need for it. And so you start trying to find things that will make you happy. Instead of choosing to get happy yourself, you'll find, you know, other ways. And unfortunately, that sometimes is alcohol or drugs or junk food or TV or social media. You know, you're just kind of chasing after this happiness that you actually already have inside of you. And so when you lose touch with that, you kind of forget that joy is a choice. And so what I want to teach is exercises that you can do to make that choice on purpose. And when you live this life walking in this joy, a lot of people will just take it as, oh, she's just naturally a nice person, or he's just, you know, just never has anything wrong going on in his life. But that's not the case at all. And it's not at all pretending that this stuff doesn't happen. I mean, I have my, you know, share of problems. I've got adult life, you know, problems. So it's not pretending that those things aren't there. It's a way of actually fighting back and saying, no, you're not going to defeat me. I'm going to still be a light and a presence in this world. Does that sound exciting to anyone?
Absolutely.
So joy is light, it radiates. And so when you walk in, like I said, you're going to light up a room, and you're going to create an environment where other people will kind of lower their guard, and that will help them to grow and learn themselves. And it's also contagious. So when people see you choosing joy, it kind of invites them to say, hey, maybe the situation isn't so bad, or hey, maybe if I, you know, hold my head up a little bit, I can actually see that, you know, I can get a lot further with a better attitude than if I'm sitting there with my head down complaining about everything. And then, of course, joy actually helps you with your health too. Like, you can actually fight off sickness by just deciding, no, I'm not going to entertain this. You know, when you start feeling a little phlegmy, a little bit of a headache, a little bit of a fever, you know, a lot of people will just say, oh, here we go, I'm going down. But you can actually say, okay, I'm going to let it do what it needs to do. This is my body fighting something off, but I'm not going to let it ruin my day. Like, I'm going to let it do what it's going to do, but I'm going to continue walking in joy, and I'm going to use that joy to heal it and get better even faster. It's miraculous. You can watch it work. I'm hardly ever sick at work, and people always taking off sick days, and they're like, Erin, why aren't you ever sick? Because I choose not to be. Can anybody relate?
Yeah.
It also boosts productivity. When you're feeling good, you'll want to do more, and you'll want to feel better, and you'll want to explore this path that you're on. So when you actually are excited to do whatever it is you're doing, it'll build up a momentum, and you'll actually get a lot more done. It'll boost your creativity. Your leadership skills will skyrocket. And then you'll have people who want you to be their leader, because you're not yelling and angry all the time, but you're actually excited, for a vision that you can share with people. So it's a win-win. There's literally no reason I can think of to not walk in this constant joy and use it as this shield around you at all times. And again, like I said, it's not pretending that bad things aren't happening. It's a way of battling back. When you look at these negative emotions like fear or anger or bitterness, when you look at them as an enemy, that puts it in a place where you can say, no, I'm going to fight that enemy, rather than taking it as something that's just happening to you and you have to deal with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now that you look at it as an enemy, you're like, okay, well, how do I fight back? What can I do? So now I'm going to get to the joy journaling exercise. I don't know if you guys have a journal, but there's a journal exercise that I'd like to start with. Do you guys have a pen and paper, or should I just tell you the exercise?
Pen and paper.
Yes.
You got a pen and paper.
Yes, we have.
Hi, Michelle.
Hey.
So I have a joy journal it's just an exercise that you can print. If you're on my website, you can print it off every day, or you can just write in your own journal. You can actually buy an official Joy Kwon-Do journal if you want. I have a little store there. But there is going to ask you the same 5 questions, and I'm going to change it up a little bit today, but the journal exercise asks the same questions every day, but you're going to answer it differently every day. The first question is to write something that brought you joy of any kind today. I mean, anything from you found a $1 bill on the ground, or, you saw a puppy and it just lit up your life. Just anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then when you think of that, the next question to ask is, why did that bring you joy? And you go a little bit deeper with it. My example is, I was actually at the mall with Veronica one time, and we saw this giant dog. I mean, it was like a cow dog, one of those giant, I don't know what they're called, but they're huge. But for some reason, it brought me so much joy. I didn't run and scream. I was like, it's like a giant teddy bear, and I loved it. So, when you go a little bit deeper, why did that dog bring me so much joy? It's because even though it was this huge monster, it was such a gentle, loving creature, and I could see that, and it brought me joy.
Okay.
And then the next question is, what does that tell you about yourself? And like I said, you're going to answer this differently every single day. So what that told me about myself, the big dog, that told me I have an appreciation for, the creatures of this earth, and I could see the gentleness, and I have an appreciation for, the different kinds of creatures that we can see every day. And so the last question for that exercise today, and there's a 5th question, but the last question I want to ask is, what are similar situations that you can get in to get that exact same kind of joy? So for my example, I said, go to the zoo. If I go to the zoo, I'm going to see, llamas, camels, elephants, whatever, zebras, giraffes. Have you ever fed the giraffes at the zoo? Do you know you can do that?
Right.
That's just neat.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't really spend the time to really think this stuff through, you'll end up thinking more about the bad things that happen and what you could have done differently and what you should have said, and
Right.
you end up really entertaining that, when all this time there was a giraffe right down the road who wanted to lick your face.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of stuff that we can tend to miss if we don't purposely walk in this joy. And the last question I want to ask for this is, I want to ask you, what is your favorite thing about you? Ooh. It was an icebreaker question that I was asked once, and it was controversial because we didn't know we were allowed to answer something like that.
Right.
It's not cool to like things about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So think about something that you love about you. And when you're thinking about it and you're writing it down, notice how that makes you feel. It kind of brings about this buzz. And it's kind of, it's something that you don't always pay a lot of attention to.
Mm-hmm.
And I invite you to ask your friends that question and watch them be taken aback and stammer and be hesitant and be, oh, I don't know, I don't really like anything. But then they'll find something, and then it ends up having, you end up having the best conversation, just full of laughs and smiles, and eventually, inevitably, a group hug. So let's see. Joy is a superpower. You know, once you tap into that buzz that I'm talking about, when you feel that feeling, when you think of that thing that brought you joy, you think of that favorite thing about yourself, like grab that feeling as a blanket and you just wrap it around you, and you just decide you're not going to let it go. And that's what it takes. As soon as you decide, you know, your happiness is just something that's as a result of good things, you're just easily going to let that blanket fall off. But then when you decide, no, I'm going to hold on to this, I'm hanging on to this, nothing can take this blanket off, man, the difference it makes in your life.
Right.
So it takes practice, though, because we have these habits that we build, you know, where you get cut off in traffic, you know, or the guy in front of you in the grocery store won't get out of your way. And, you know, habitually, you're going to shake a fist or whatever. And then you're gonna, you know, then you're just gonna start wallowing in that anger.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes some practice. So that's why I came up with these exercises, things that you can do so you can let yourself be mad a little bit, but then be like, okay, I don't want to stay here. I decided I'm not going to stay in this place anymore. So what can I do to fight back and get out of this?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to call them funk busters.
Okay.
We've got some funk busters if you guys want to do some fun activities.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah.
We're ready.
Yeah. Do you guys know you can grow your own hand?
Grow your own what?
Hand.
Oh.
I want you to put your wrists together perfectly in line so the little lines match up.
Okay.
And then you're going to gently put your palms together. And I'm going to hold mine up to the camera. You can see one finger is a little bit longer than the other. Can you see that?
Right. Yeah, mine too.
Yours too. Everyone, there's some, you know, if we were perfect, we would look like mannequins, and nobody wants to look like a mannequin, right?
Right.
But for today, we're going to make our hands look like mannequin hands.
Okay.
So look at the hand that's smaller. For my case, it's this one. And you're going to face it. Do it. Jeremiah. Tell it to grow. Grow, hand. Grow. Why can't you be bigger? Why can't you be stretched like your other hand? Don't you want to be like your other hand? Let me hear you.
Grow.
So
Why can't you be bigger?
Jeremiah's muted, but he's heated. I can see the veins popping out of him. He is telling that hand off. All right, when you're done, you're going to put your wrists back together. Veronica, I didn't see you do this. All right, now let's see.
What in the world? That's crazy.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? That's not a magic trick. That's real. Your brain did that.
That's crazy.
That's the power you have. You can tell your hand to grow, and your hand will be like, all right. Because you don't realize that, you know, you're subconsciously, you might have, you know, stretched your hand a little bit, but it's real. Like, that is the kind of authority you have. And when you know that, man, does that boost you, right?
That's awesome.
So we got another one. You guys know what a power pose is? I know Veronica does.
Yeah, you talking about like for taking a picture?
No,
Power
a power pose is a pose that you'll actually get into, scientifically proven to boost your mood by doing a pose for 2 minutes. So there are several different ones you can do. The most popular one is standing like Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Or you can stand with a victory V.
Okay.
Any kind of open like pose, something like that.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get into any kind of open pose. I'm going to do the Wonder Woman.
Okay.
And we won't do the full 2 minutes for, lack of time.
No, you can do 2 minutes if you want. Well, it's okay.
Okay, so for a minute, think about how you feel right now. Like, I'm sure your mood was just fine before.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't look like you guys were in a bad mood. But being in this pose, does it kind of lift you even more?
Yeah.
The only problem with these is they look ridiculous. And I'm looking at all you guys and I'm like, but I came up with my own power pose.
Okay.
That you can actually do all day long because nobody will have any idea you're doing it.
Okay.
Can you imagine the effectiveness of power posing for an entire day rather than just 2 minutes? I'm actually doing it right now.
Okay.
What I'm doing is my power smile. It's the same smile that you get when you do the power pose. It's the pose, it's not a cheese smile, like, like you're taking a family photo. This is like slightly villainous, like you're up to something. This is the smile that the magician makes just before the trick is revealed, right?
Right.
This is the smile the cat gives you just before it knocks the glass off the table.
Mm-hmm.
So see if you can just kind of like drum up that energy and kind of pull up your power smile. And everyone has their own unique power smile.
Right.
This smile you can put on when you're being chewed out by someone, when you're about to give a presentation to a bunch of people you don't know,
Mm-hmm.
or when you're just, when you've got some bill that showed up. You put on this smile and it'll immediately put you in that place where you're like, you got this, you can do this.
Right.
So the next thing you can do after a little while of doing that power smile, that's when you come up with your battle cry. This is about to be real fun, okay? So that energy that you feel, let it put some kind of battle cry. It'll cause you to just say something like, heck yes, or booyah.
Right.
What's your battle cry? I'd like to hear your battle cries. What's something that
I got this. I got
this. Jeremiah, unmute yourself. Let us hear it.
My
Veronica,
kids are all my kids are all asleep, so I can't really do my battle cry here.
Louder then.
I'm pretty sure my neighbors would call the police.
Hey, a battle whisper.
Well, you just keep on power smiling then. Veronica, what's your battle cry?
Let's do that.
Let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite battle cries is ha.
Oh.
So when you're faced with a problem or some kind of conflict, or you start just feeling that ickiness coming up, you just say ha.
Right.
Let's say it.
Ha.
Ha.
Ha. Ha ha. It boosts you up to this place where you're just like, no, you can't touch me. You can't touch me. These are the kind of exercises that I'm talking about that you can just, and it's not a way of suppressing those negative emotions, because that's not healthy. That's not going to help anything. This is a way of you turning and facing them and looking them in the eye and be like, I got this. You can't beat me. And then you walk in this confidence and people look at you and they say, ooh, I want that. I want what she has. And that's when you start radiating that light that people are looking for.
Right.
People walking in, I work in an office. Everybody hates Mondays because that's what you're supposed to do, right?
Right.
So I walk in just bouncing and happy. And people are like, what's you so happy about? Because it's Monday. Everybody else is trying to sleep through today, but I'm here and I get to get what Monday has for me because everyone else is missing. So I like that. Another excellent way of boosting your joy is to give something or give an act of kindness. When you give joy, you'll actually feel joy in return.
Yes.
You can't help it. Our brains are actually wired that. So like, if you're angry, like hand someone $1 and watch your mood. It's true though, because MRI studies have actually shown that when we do something nice for people, it actually releases dopamine. We react, when we do something nice for somebody, we react as if we just got some money or some chocolate. And that's
right.
Right? So
hey, saves me some pounds. Okay, I like that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that when I'm just in a rough mood, and for whatever reason, like something big or something small, I don't like to stay in that place because I feel like I can't get over it until I decide I want to get over it. And so to kind of give myself a push out of it, I got to do something nice for someone, just completely unrelated. I'm going to find someone, I'm going to shoot them a text message. I'm going to go for a walk and, pet a dog. I don't even know, like whatever I can do to bring someone or something joy. And I immediately feel the joy in return.
Right.
You guys know the love language, the 5 love languages?
I'm familiar with that book. I haven't read it.
Okay. So when you know the other person's love language, it gives you that much more joy when you know you're speaking their language. So it's a really handy trick for you to kind of always have your ears open and your eyes open to look for what that person's love language is. I'm always doing that at my place of work. I'll kind of overhear conversations and I'll kind of pick up and notice people. There's one girl I can tell, she just lights up whenever anybody gives her a compliment. And so I think, okay, her love language is words of affirmation. Or now the 5 different gifts, if you're not familiar, are quality time. People who, those are the people who want people to spend face-to-face time with them, like we're doing now.
Okay.
There's tangible gifts. That one sounds like it's a it sounds like a spoiled brat, if I'm, for lack of a better term, but that's not what it is at all. A tangible gift is something, could be anything like a flower that you picked, or you shared your lunch with someone. Hey, I got downstairs, I went downstairs for some coffee, I grabbed you one. So tangible gifts isn't just like, I want a gold watch, I want some chicken.
Can I add to this category? Do you mind if I put my 5 senses to it?
Please.
So when it comes to gifts, I have a perfect example. It was my birthday this weekend. Erin walks in, and thanks to Erin, I have a YouTube channel now. So she downloaded everything in the YouTube. So I'm so grateful to her because I didn't know how to do it. And she comes empty-handed. And I'm like, I'm so happy about YouTube channel that I don't need anything. But it's kind of off because of the way the relationship she and I have. I know that it would be something else. And she comes and she says, and we are in a spiritual church. She comes and she says, there is a store upstairs. And I want you to go and choose yourself a gift. And what she probably picked up on, one of my major, especially for my birthday, love languages is gift. And I don't like when people buy me gifts. I like to choose them. And it doesn't matter. I have a budget of $10 or $15. I need to know the budget. And the dress, I said, tell me how much you want to spend. So because I don't want to overspend and underspend. But I always find, give me a budget and I'll be good at it. And people have a hard time to do it because then, if you buy me a gift, it's still going to be a budget. So tell me. And and I'll show you guys, she got me so I chose myself and she bought them. The most adorable candlelights ever. I'll bring them to actually, no, I want to show them here. And she got me those candles that I honestly was doing a lot of work on Sunday with another friend. And anytime I look at those candles, I would just light up right here. See?
Wow. Okay.
They are
they're rocks.
That's cute.
And it's not the physical value of that, but the sentiment. Like I literally light up and it makes me happier every time I look at them.
Wow.
So I wanted to share because it wasn't the physical value of them.
Right.
But it's like I literally look and it makes me happy every time. I don't usually light up candles every day. Now I do.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm a tangible gifts person too, but it's funny because I don't like assumed gifts, like, Valentine's Day, Christmas, the gifts, the days where you're supposed to get a gift, like, meh, like, don't even bother, right? I want something that's like on any given Thursday.
Exactly.
So everybody has their own love language. And when you pick up on that, on people, when you hang around enough around somebody and you kind of figure out what their love language is, it brings them so much joy when you actually do something for them that just like speaks to their soul. And then it brings you joy in return because like, not everybody knew that about you, but I did. And it just makes you so happy. So the 5 gifts, we got the tangible gifts, we've got the words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service. That's when you're just doing, going over and doing someone's dishes for them. And then physical touch. Now watch out, physical touch. Physical touch, it can be a handshake, it can be a fist bump, pat on the back. It doesn't have to be like romantic touch at all. But there's some people who just like to have that, like, they just like to have that, there's just a closeness about it. And so they like to have that, fist bump or that high five, handshake, a good firm handshake, a handshake. If somebody had if they spoke physical touch as their love language and you gave them kind of like a dead fish handshake, like, that will actually offend them so much because it makes them feel like you don't have any interest in them.
Right.
So there's just a lot behind it. And so I actually have, I created, there's another activity I have on the website. I call it the triple whammy greeting.
Okay.
Are you ready for this? The unforgettable greeting. People will not forget you with this greeting because it puts in 3 different, the person you're greeting, it gets them in 3 different ways. First of all, shake their hand, but it's a nice firm handshake. But while you're shaking their hand, you also want to kind of grab their forearm as well. Not like a, hard, but it's kind of like an extra, almost like a pat on the back. So it's a handshake with a little bit of an extra little love tap on the forearm. Meanwhile, you look them straight in the eye and you smile and you say their name out loud, even if it's someone who just introduced themselves. So, Lachelle, if I greeted you and just grabbed your hand, but also tapped your arm and said, Lachelle, I'm so happy to see you. And I looked you dead in the eye. I just tapped into your physical touch need, your need to be seen, your need to be known all at once in like half a second. That's I remember when somebody pulled that move on me, and that's why I kept this in my memory bank.
Right.
It was, so I'm at a church and I think I was just visiting and it came to be that time where they're like, turn to your neighbor and greet them, right? And it's always kind of awkward, you're just like, oh, hi, This woman grabs my arm and my forearm and she says, peace be with you. Oh. That was years ago. I never forgot it. I was, whoa. Can you imagine having that kind of power? Being that person who walks to people and says, peace be with you. It's like, whoa. It's like joy just fills the room. And you're just this rock star. You see this power that we all have this power. We all have this capability. But we've just kind of forgotten it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kind of forgotten how effective it is and the importance of it. How are we doing on time, Veronica?
Well, you can wrap it up.
Wrap it up? Okay. So the last thing I want to really make sure we cover is the battles against yourself, because all day long we can pretend to be happy outwardly, but when you're going through like stuff inside, it can, first of all, be hard to decide you even want to try and look happy, but it's really hard to get yourself out of that place. It's really hard. A lot of times it just takes somebody else coming and shaking you out of it, but we kind of live in a lonely society now where people just don't do that so much anymore.
Right. And
then we feel even worse because we're sitting there feeling sorry for ourselves and no one's coming to visit me. So, and then because I can think of a time pretty recently, I was just super down. And I was just like waiting for someone to like text me or call me or something, and it just wasn't happening. And then of course I wanted to take it personally, but then I was like, I know exactly what I could do to get myself out. I'm literally wanting to teach this, but I don't feel like it.
Right.
You know, like I've got all these little
Right.
tricks, you know, little exercises, but you have to actually want to do them, and you have to want to get out of that place.
Right.
So I want to make sure we cover that. When you are sad about something, you don't want to just jump out of it too quick, because then you're kind of going to miss out what it's trying to give you.
Right.
So I found this nifty trick, and Veronica, it was Lori who taught me this back in the day. Lori said that she was feeling really crummy about something, so she decided instead of letting it nag her, she was going to face it and just give herself 10 minutes of solid wallowing.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Brilliant thing. So she set herself a timer for 10 minutes, and she just let it out, and she just like faced what it was that was so sad, and she just cried, and she was like, what is it that's really like, what am I actually sad about? And she just wrestled with it. And then the timer went off, and she said, okay, we're done. And I thought that was so neat, because now, even later, when she starts to want to be sad again about that same thing, she can say, no, we already dealt with that. You know, the timer went off. I'm going to go ahead and move on. And that's such an empowering thing that you can do, that you can actually say, okay, I've gone through this. I've accepted it. I'm honoring it. I'm going to let it teach me what it's going to teach me. And now I need to overcome. And when you overcome, other people see you overcome, and that inspires them to overcome. So even though it seems like the opposite of Joy Kwon-Do, it's actually the same thing. It's just a darker version. It's like the black and white version of it.
Right.
So yeah, to sum it up, you know, it's so important, you know, for all the reasons we covered today, it's so important to be able to find that joy that you have in you. And it's so important to let it radiate out of you so that other people can feel it and they can do the same. Because just like lighting a candle to another candle, I know you've probably been to a candlelight service where everybody lit each other's candles, and you just kind of watched the room slowly light up, and it just became beautiful, right? But it took that one candle, and you can just decide to be that candle. And I feel like this is an excellent way that everybody can relate to, because it's not, you know, it's not a religion thing, or it's not a political thing, or it's not, you know, it's not a gender thing. It's everybody has joy, and everybody wants happiness, and everybody's looking for happiness. Right. And you could actually become a black belt in Joy Kwon-Do and start teaching other people this art. Can you imagine what the impact it would make? And it's absolutely free. You know, it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost them anything. What do you guys think? We'll open up the floor now. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a Q&A time, so you guys go ahead. And for Q&A, it's usually like both people answer questions, me and the guest. So because we can tackle it from different angles.
Sure.
Hey, Supermom, you're awesome.
Hey, Jeremiah.
So,
is that a word of affirmation, Jeremiah?
No.
She's America's Supermom.
So Jeremiah called Lachelle Supermom because ask Lachelle how many children she has.
Oh, how many children do you have, Lachelle?
Do you want to guess, or you just want me to tell you?
I mean, I'm gonna say 5.
More than that. Double digits.
Do we double digits?
Yeah.
I mean, 11.
Higher.
Wow. All natural born kids, or there's some
13 of them. I had 13, and then 2 of them are my stepchildren, so it's 15 altogether.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no twins.
You changed diapers for like 20 years.
Yeah, crazy.
That's my first thought immediately.
Yes.
Hey,
wow.
Erin, how many kids do you have?
Lachelle the Supermom.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I've got my one.
I know that. See,
I can't even call that parenting because she's so good and she's so chill. Like, I can't even call it parenting. Like, you good? Yeah, I'm good. All right.
Yeah. That you're right. See, I was an only child, and it's like, yeah. So it's quite a different. Yeah.
Different environment.
Yeah. Yep.
Does anybody have any examples where you have already fought using Taekwondo and you just really have a name to put on it? Any situations
that we've actually been using this type of philosophy?
that you've done before? Can you think of a time that you actually found that force and used it? Ah. Hello. I love it. I actually was bullied once in high school.
Wow.
You all covered up?
Oh, yeah. Huh? Oh.
That's him talking. Yeah.
Oh, good. I got bullied once in high school because I was wearing a marching band jacket. And it was weird because if you know anything about marching band in the South, there's like 200 kids in our marching band, and there was 200 kids walking around with my same jacket. But there was this group of girls who decided they wanted to try out this bullying thing, and I was their random victim. And they were doing it every single day. They would just be like, "Oh, what are you wearing this jacket for? I can't believe you're wearing this thing." And I didn't really I was secure in myself, so I was just confused. I thought it was a joke. But they did it every single day, and it lasted for like almost a month. And I was like, okay, is this really going to just keep going on? This is terrible. Well, I was working a job at one of those family chain restaurants. And one of the girls actually came in with her family. And I was a hostess, right? So the first thing she sees when she walks into this place is me. And that was my chance that I could have just gone off and shamed her in front of her parents and told them everything she had done. And I was practicing this
working on
mic drop, devastating thing to say to her. But when she actually came in, what came out of my mouth was, "Oh my God, hi, you go to my school. I'm so excited to see you. Dude, we can just, are these your parents? You guys want a booth? Free waters all around, And I acted like, for some reason, and I don't even know where that came from. No idea. It came out that way. This is not who I was. I had some serious anger issues when I was a teen. But for some reason, I had this need to act like I was her best friend and just convince her parents that we were BFFs.
Right.
I don't know where that came from. And then they left and I felt drained, like I'd given the performance of a lifetime.
Right.
Well, I see them at school the next day, and the one girl starts picking on me about my jacket. And I'm like, okay, this again. The girl that I saw at the restaurant, as they left, she says, "Hey, can we stop messing with her? She's really nice."
Wow.
They never bullied me again.
That's awesome.
So it worked. It didn't just, because if I would have said something mean, it would have just kept the thing going on and on and on and never would have gotten better. That just ended it right there.
Right.
You guys have any instances that were like that?
Well,
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Sorry about that, Mr. Jamal.
Oh, you're good. I think in my case, I had to overcome depression and anxiety, which is how I got into coaching. And I think, the whole thing is being able to embrace your story.
Yeah.
And come from a place of being a victor rather than a victim.
Yeah.
Because, you recognize that, okay, it happened. All right, it's over with. I don't have to relive this every day. So just being able to empower yourself, I think is really, it's liberating. I mean, it really just opens your mind to so many more possibilities.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Do you guys have any questions for Erin?
Oh,
Would
man.
you like to ask any questions for her?
How do you get your hair like that? I've been trying.
It's a wig.
No, when I first started telling people that they're awesome and I believe in their dreams, I was working as a traffic cop over here. No, well, not traffic cop. I would dance for kids at the crosswalk. I was the crosswalk guard.
Okay. Yeah.
And I started doing that because I told myself to be happy, and I wanted the kids to be happy in the morning. So I started dancing for the kids. And, a lot of people that were angry were changed because of my personality in the morning, dancing for the kids. Or I'd go up and I would randomly talk to people. I would actually walk through all the Walmart, and we have a thing called Publix down here. And
yeah, I know Publix.
Yeah. So we'd go through. I would go through the Publix and tell every person that I met that they're awesome. I believe in their dreams, and it does have an effect, especially if you're more confident. The less confident you are when you walk into those conversations, the more they are to reject you. The more confident you are when you walk into those conversations, they're like, you know, they don't know how to take you. In that guessing, you just jump into it with positivity. You know, they more than often will accept positivity.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That's good.
What other questions do I have for Erin? Erin, how do I get my Christian fantasy young adult novel into Netflix? How do I do
that? You have a novel that you want to get into Netflix? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Boom. Diaries of a Holy Night.
Well,
good question.
You know, I'll start, you know, rubbing elbows and making connections, and you know, we'll get you there because I believe in your dreams.
I love that. That's good.
Oh, thank you so much, Supermom. Literally, I'm gonna go ahead and just put you on. I'm gonna get rid of my mom and put you as mom on my Facebook. It'd be perfect. No, I mean, you know, it's actually it's a step up. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. I love my mom. Does she do heroin? Yeah, but it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's a true story.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Do you guys have more questions, or we are closing?
Veronica, you look
I'm going to show my card.
Tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Look at that card.
Oh, that's nice.
JoyQuando.com. Free online experience. You can follow me on YouTube, on Instagram. This is not something I'm trying to make money off of. This is something this is my candle, and I'm lighting it up, and I need people to start, you know, grabbing my candle and lighting their candle and spreading the light.
That's awesome.
It's going to be awesome.
Well, you know who has a podcast that you could possibly be on? She lives in Atlanta. She has 15 kids.
Right.
Another girl with 15 kids?
I know. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy?
Jeez.
I know. You know, Veronica was on today. So we had a great conversation. She did good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did she end up joining? I had to leave early because I had to change my
yeah, it was
diaper.
in the afternoon. You know, it's always something with me, okay?
Well, I was on earlier and I saw, what is his name?
Noah.
No, yeah, dude, he's so cool. And what a good heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry about that. Noah was amazing. And then,
yeah,
I was like, I got to dip out. I got to do this diaper.
Right. Yeah.
And then my son, I have an 11-year-old son. He's actually over at my in-laws. Because he wanted to go fishing, and they're on the bay that goes out to the Gulf. So.
That's good. All right.
Okay. Well, then I'm stopping recording, and thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Kicking me off.
Fun.